So what you saw there is Dust 514, and it's developed for consoles. So this is basically our take on a console MMO. So instead of doing like aim online for consoles, we looked hard at what people want to do with when they're playing in their living room versus playing in their sort of PC room. And we thought of doing like a specially made experience for that platform, setting in the Eve IP, and then connecting it with Eve. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But Dust itself is this awesome first-person shooter where you play as a greedy marine running around with your gun, buying trucks and extensions to that, fighting in a massive war taking place on the planets of Eve Online. And it's about these guys. These are a new sort of technology enhancement into the Eve IP, where people no longer have to be pod pilots to be able to be cloned. So these Dust soldiers, or the infantry, they will actually be explained in one of the novels that's coming out. So now people are able to be cloned to some extent. The number 514 actually relates to that a little bit, and I'm not going to give the trick away. So if somebody is exceedingly clever, he will figure out why it's just 514. With a lot of strategic elements. So we can deploy various sort of permanent structures inside the battlefield when you are waiting in a battlefield session inside the Dust universe. And but it's also its own sort of massively multiplayer game. But it's also connected to Eve. And how does that work? So if you remember the sovereignty map and how that animates and evolves over time, currently that is dictated by how many player-owned structures you own in a solar system, and there's a various sort of input elements into the sovereignty control system of Eve. And Dust will become one of those inputs. So Dust Battlefield will dictate who controls a specific planet inside the Eve, the MMO. So if a player contracts a Dust mercenary team to go and conquer this district of a planet, then ultimately he will be able to control the planet, and therefore the solar system, and therefore the constellation and the region. You will increasingly have to fight with your fleet, but you will also have to contract people that play Dust, the console MMO, which then feeds into the sovereignty control system of Eve. Then Eve feeds back into that game by funding the mercenaries, giving them goals, etc. So it's a very interesting system, and especially when we bring these sort of two communities together, where we have the first-person shooter crowd and the PC MMO crowd, and the sort of ways in which these two communities we're hoping will meld over time. They will probably start by having specific Dust alliances, specific Dust corporations, but our hope is that alliances will start to form where we have social structures that bridge from the PC experience over to Dust, even so that you have alliances that are specifically formed to control a part of the universe by working on both agendas at the same time. So while fleet does the flying, the infantry does the dying.